All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back with interview number two for one of my students in my Discord. So here we have, what's your first name?
My first name is Ville, but I go by Lambo Profits in the community.
Okay, yeah. So his name is Lama Profits, my community, and similar. It's gonna be similar to the first interview I did, and except he has a face cam, which is obviously nicer. And yeah, let's get started. So, what do you want me to talk to you as, Veal or Lambo Prop? Like, did you want somebody call you Lambo or?
I guess you can use. I think Ville is better. Yeah, just call me
Okay,
Ville.
Vila. All right, all right. So, so how did you get into trading first of all?
Uh, well, that was like 5 years ago, and
Okay.
I guess it's pretty typical. I got introduced to crypto
Okay,
by a
okay.
family
Like
member.
like Bitcoin or like meme
Yeah, the
coins or
basics like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then it went a bit deeper. Like then you have the altcoins, and then suddenly
yeah.
you find futures trading,
Okay.
and then
Wh-
after that, yeah, it
And
just got.
when you got into Bitcoin, like did you trade it or did you invest in it? Did you go to altcoins? Did you like buy random coins that people were talking on Twitter? Like how did you get into it?
Yeah, what I was getting into that is the rabbit hole kept getting deeper. So first you find Bitcoin, you buy some Bitcoin and you hold it. Then you find altcoins and they're a bit more volatile and risky. And
Yeah.
then you find futures trading. Then you find out about trading in general with leverage and margin. And then you go into like, okay, well, there's other markets as well,
Yeah.
like stocks and then I was getting into like the traditional markets and gold trading and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, but by like getting into it, did you like trade Bitcoin? How did you actually like enter positions with Bitcoin? Like did you invest in it or
yeah, I had multiple different exchange accounts and futures accounts, and then I would
okay.
just start learning about margin and leverage trading and use the
Okay.
exchanges like Binance to trade
And
it.
did you day trade it?
I was swinging and day trading, but at
Okay.
that point in my
All right.
career, it was there was no logical
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I got you. You're
strategy
just
behind
kind of
it.
yeah, you're just entering. And how old are you now?
I'm 33 now. Yeah,
Okay, so this was right when you were like 28ish.
yeah,
Okay.
a bit
Um
before the pandemic. Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So, I don't want to call you like a COVID trader, but I mean, you kind of started when that happened.
yeah, pretty much.
Um when did you how long ago did you find ICT?
Um, well, you know how a trader enters you find trading and you enter the, I would say, learning and experimenting stage. So I was looking into all kinds of different markets, different concepts, different strategies. I was like
Yeah.
hopping all around the place. I always knew like what ICT was about, but actually I've never gone through the full, I would say, curriculum of
Yeah,
his
the mentorship.
content. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I watched parts of it, but I was never that invested like emotionally into
Yeah.
his teachings that I would know exactly what it is, but I knew that
Yeah.
there were like ICT traders out there. Yeah,
Yeah. And like so you've never actually watched a mentorship.
not fully. No,
Okay. When was the first time you ever heard about ICT? Was it through me? Was it through someone else? Did you see him on YouTube? Like,
I'd heard about ICT and the basics like fair value gaps and
yeah,
like market structure, and a lot of people were mixing ideas from ICT and concepts that you could call ICT.
yeah.
That was maybe 3 years ago, like while I was still trading
Okay.
traditional markets and
Well, did you hear about them on like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube? Like, where do you see that stuff?
mostly YouTube
Okay, yeah,
content
that makes
creators.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably just like recommended your feed.
yeah,
It's like, oh, don't use indicators. Some like title is like says that.
yeah.
Use ICT. The other question I had is why did you get into trading first of all? Like when you were 28, like what made you want to trade?
I don't know. At that point, I had my own business. I was doing really good in my career. I was like in the like early phases of my career. I was doing really good, and then I guess I was just curious because every young adult starts looking into like how to invest in your future and how to scale up your income and become more independent and free and so on.
Yeah,
So I guess trading kind of like it is sort of like the uh, well at that point it was sort of like fool's gold because it sounds so easy and so potential, but then you find out you actually have to put in some work. So I guess the freedom and family and independence aspect was really important
Okay.
because I was already doing like really good in other
Yeah.
areas of lives, and then I didn't
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
think about the money aspect of trading. I thought about like the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you do? Have you ever like invested before you're 20? Like before you day trade, do you have any investments that you were doing like when you're like 20, 21, 22, or
Other
did you
than
never have investments?
not really significant ones. I had some
Okay.
small investment accounts, but they were like traditional ones
Y-
offered by your
Yeah,
bank and
yeah,
so on.
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So, how did you find me and my strategy and iFVGs and everything?
Well, like I said, I've been doing like pretty much everything. Uh, I've tried pretty much everything you can think of, and I've had like different
Yeah.
mentors as well and different communities, like maybe a dozen different communities, and I've spent like
Damn.
couple $1,000 on communities and signals and coaching, and I have multiple different courses, some for crypto, some for traditional markets, and so on.
Yeah.
So I had kind of like gotten frustrated already, and sort of like already, you could say, given up because I had spent a lot of money, I guess, like in my tuition, like trading tuition,
Yeah.
because
That's
I
some
was,
for everyone's problems. They buy
yeah,
way too many courses,
yeah,
and
yeah,
half of them are
and also the
scams.
losses that start accumulating when you kind of don't find what works for you.
Yeah.
And then you did the video with another YouTuber, and then
Casper.
yeah, exactly that one. Because I was already
Yeah.
following Casper, but I wasn't like his student or anything.
Yeah.
And then what got me most interested was that you had the live streams, which is actually quite uncommon. Like a lot of traders, they offer the course, but you get very little real time coaching live.
Yeah, So that's definitely everyone on Instagram. They're like, "Oh, this guy probably sells a course." I sell a course, but no one buy it. I'm telling you, like, I probably one person every 2 weeks purchases it because it's not valuable compared to my live streams.
Yeah,
But if you don't, some people like trade more individually, and they like my course, then they'll trade themselves, and they don't need my live stream. So it just depends on the person,
yep.
which makes sense. Did you ever try options?
Nope, never.
It was all just leverage stuff. Like,
Yep, yep.
okay. Um, Okay, so you found me from Cash's video, and when you found me, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna see if this guy has some course or something." Like,
Yeah, like I said, I was maybe kind of like skeptical, because I had already tried so many different things,
yeah,
and then, you know, I guess I just decided to give it a shot because why the hell not? And then I started seeing. Actually, I had to learn everything about trading stocks and futures and learn all the new prop firms like Apex and the
yeah,
different platforms.
yep,
So that was completely new as well. So I had to learn the tech side there. But then I started seeing like what happened for me was you can imagine the screen time I had from all those years. So
oh
even though
yeah,
I had no exact strategy to follow, as soon as I saw what you're doing, is like all the screen time, I guess, kind of like clicked where I started to understand
yeah,
like where's the what the entry is based on and where you are actually coming from, like a PDA or a point of
yeah,
interest,
yeah,
like, and then you
yeah,
have a
yeah,
target, which is some kind of liquidity point. And I got a huge benefit from all the screen time. That didn't really matter that it was Bitcoin or Euro USD or whatever it was or
yep.
gold. I started to understand like why the candles move like they do and why the price action looks like it does. So I guess that's where I started like kept being in your streams and
Yeah, that's like the one thing. Like, if you looked at the market or candlesticks for like 3 years, it'll start to click a little bit, especially when you hear something you've never heard before, and like, "Oh my god, that makes total sense," or "That's why I always used to get stopped out." Now, when you watch Casper's video, did you trade any IFVGs or anything before that? Because you watched them, so I'm assuming you traded some sort of fair value, I guess, before that video.
uh the only strategy I was doing at that time related to fair value gaps was actually something that utilized fair value gaps together with like breaker blocks so that you have your like it was
Yeah,
basically the point
unicorns.
of yeah it was basically the point of interest was an FVG, sort of like you are looking for an FVG for example, a week inside an FVG in
Yeah.
discount to go long. So that
Yeah.
was kind of like what I was trading with another YouTuber,
Yep.
and that was traditional markets.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you didn't. Okay, that's cool. Now, what made you so like when you saw my strategy? Were you like, this looks good, or I'm gonna try it? Like, what was going through your head? Like, what was your biggest realization of using iFVGs when you first saw them? Like, yeah, that's basically my question.
Yeah, I mean, let's say it was mentally difficult because you're US based and I'm European, and you're pretty out there with your videos and content. Like I was kind of
Yeah.
like, this can't really work. Like I mean, based on the everything I've learned so far, like why would this work compared to everything else? And then I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, like this is actually legit. And I guess like the way you teach is, I think the strategy part is super important, but what you do like on the live streams is something that you can't teach on a course, for example. And it's really the tough words and tough love and the discipline that you get, because you're kind of like,
Yeah.
why is Ryan or Dodgy winning in every stream, or at least taking break evens and having like barely any negative days, and then you're following the exact same stream and then you can't perform the same. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's no technical difference then, but you find out like, okay, well, this guy is doing something in terms of risk and break even and entry discipline that I'm not doing. And that's
Yep.
the entry model was kind of easy, and your strategies is just a screen time and technical thing. But that's, I guess, what I got from the stream is the biggest thing is like I was doing all of those mistakes all these years, and
Yeah.
finally I see somebody not doing them, and it kind of
And did you try trading iFVGs without my stream at first,
uh
or did you just jump right in?
I jumped right into the streams, and I've been in the streams ever since. So I mean, since early this year,
Yeah. Okay.
and I just like to. I trade a lot outside the streams as well, like
Okay.
not following the streams. But I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. That's fine.
the aspect of like having somebody sort of like confirm what you're also thinking.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, that's super nice for a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah. So like, my other question is, what do you think? Why do you think trading IFVGs is better than just doing like a normal fair value gap? Like, what about IFVGs makes it click for you?
Um, I'd say it's the the fact that it's surprisingly technical, actually, if you think about it. Like you want a reaction from a point where you are already interested in, and you want the momentum,
Yeah.
and you want it to be confirmed. And I think like if your students or anyone learning your YouTube is watching this, I think like 90% of those people will have the problem of over trading, revenge trading, over leveraging, forcing the entries. And compared to like regular FVGs, this one should eliminate all of those problems if you can keep it cool. Like actually, this is
Yeah.
very technical in my opinion. Like based on all the other stuff I've tried and all the normal FVG entry strategies, which can be I think a bit wishy-washy because there's so many iterations. This one is like
Yeah.
very clear. Like
Yeah.
there's so few things you can do wrong other than you being the problem. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yep. Okay. So that's a good answer. Now you recently deposited some money in the live account, and I know you sent like a screenshot of like the P&L curve a couple days ago. I don't know. Would you mind if I share that, or could you send that to me? Um, just to show
Yeah.
like,
Do you have it there, or did I send it
uh,
over?
I don't think you did. You sent it to the Discord, I think, but
Oh yeah, it was on the Discord chat.
yeah, just to like show people kind of how you've been doing. Oh, I see it. I see it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I see it. So basically, this is him. This is why I wanted to do this interview. So 10-2, he said, I moved into a personal account in August. For anyone struggling with funded, go personal. Which, again, is good and bad advice. If you're really new, I want to do a personal account. Like maybe you know what you're doing, but you the only way I'd get off a prop firm right now is if you keep hitting the trailing drawdown, not the drawdown, but the trailing drawdown. So let's say you're in profit and you keep hitting drawdown, then I'd maybe go to a personal account. But if that's not you, then don't. I would say in a prop firm for now, just because it's going to be cheaper. But here's his curve. pretty solid. You know, he's doubled his account or almost nearly doubled it. And again, the P&L doesn't matter. This could be $5. This could be $10,000. It's all the same. Okay, just with an extra zero. And you can see like pretty decent. Even when he takes losses, it looks like. Can you explain to me like when you take a loss in one of these dips, like what are you kind of thinking?
Um, well, first of all, to expand on that post that I made is that was actually right after I had lost a 300k funded account with Apex,
Yeah,
and the curve on the challenge was even better than that one. It wasn't a one shot trade. It was like a 1 month of hard work, like maybe 100
yeah,
trades or something. And I lost the account. Like I was wondering why does this happen? Like how is it possible that you do so well for a month and then suddenly uh something just cracks and you lose the account. So then that's why I went live account, because I wanted to take it more seriously and play with
yeah,
really small amounts of money, like just to prove myself that I can actually do it long term,
yeah.
and I can apparently. Um, what was your question about the?
My question is like when you took these losses when you had this curve going, like what were you kind of thinking on these red days?
The way I think about it is it's not a red day in terms of PNL. So it's a green day if I followed the habit, I followed the entry model, I was observing the price and only trying to take A plus setups and sticking
Yep.
like to my risk management, then it doesn't matter if it's a red or green day. And that's, I think, the the biggest one for me is like if the like
Yeah.
yesterday was perfect example with the choppiness. If that happens, you have to have the discipline to just stop and have that like last line of
Yeah.
defense
And
mentally to
you
stop.
and like do you ever think like okay, this is a red day, but I know this model's profitable in the long run. Like do you ever think about that or
Yeah, I do, and I keep a journal. It's not very detailed, as in some people have everything like timestamps and everything, but I
yeah.
just have the basic PNL journaling, and then I take a look at it and I see like, all right, well, this loss in the big picture, it means nothing. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I think too. Like, if I take a loss, like it's like okay, whatever. Like, I know this is profitable. Like, who cares? You know, you can't. You're not gonna get 5 bad losses in a row. That's just impossible if you follow how I trade. And if you do take 5 bad losses in a row, you're one doing something wrong, or two, you're not even trading my strategy. So that's definitely something you're doing wrong. Uh, so last couple of questions. So first off, why did you decide to do this interview?
uh yeah, actually, when you asked me to do the interview, the reason I wanted to do it was,
Well, I asked a bunch. I just like yo, who wants to do an interview? Who's like been successful? You were one of the people who said you do it.
yeah, and
Um,
the reason is that out of all the courses I've watched and money I've spent on like content and time I've spent on content, I
yeah,
think this is the first time that somebody isn't just dangling the carrot, in front of me, but
yeah,
it's like fully transparent. Like it's the first time I actually feel like, especially in the live streams, it's like there's no stone left unturned, and I like it feels like I'm getting the full picture and I'm getting the every explanation, and it's just mind blowing seeing
yeah,
that and comparing to what I've been trying to learn before, and now I can see why it's super hard to learn from other coaches and courses, because actually it feels like they are not showing you everything, but this one is
yeah,
like, I think that's the big difference.
yeah, exactly. Which sometimes I regret sharing everything, but I mean, it's too late
Yeah.
now. People always said, yo, don't share everything. Gatekeeps. I mean, it's not like the one thing that made me disagree with that is because whatever I teach, it's not gonna like the markets are gonna change. You know, we're just 1% of the people. Retail traders are 1% of the market, so it's like whatever. They don't care about us. Um, now, what do you think is the toughest part of your journey, and what do you think the easiest part of your journey was?
I guess the toughest part is like, when you go super high and
Yeah,
then you hit rock bottom, and then you have to face like, because trading will show you whatever problems and anxiety you have within you. It's gonna punish you like super hard. Like when you think
yeah,
you have a good streak going for like a couple of months, I remember back in the day when I started trading and I was at my peak, like 5 to 10K days were regular for me. But then I
Yeah.
came down super hard because actually I hadn't worked on the habits. I hadn't worked on myself, my mentality, and it all came like crashing down like a house of cards. That was the toughest part because then you actually have to rebuild the foundation, and then you find out like it just becomes a habit and something you like to do. It's like you don't feel high from the wins or low from the losses. And I guess that's the hardest thing to go through. And what was the other
Yeah.
part?
And then what do you think the easiest part is, or was?
Well, I mean, when you find something that works, it just becomes second nature. You don't think
Yeah. Yeah.
about it. It doesn't, it doesn't take your mental RAM anymore. Like it's not emotionally depleting, and it just becomes something you do out of
Yeah.
habit, and
Exactly.
you enjoy it, like whatever happens. And then when it works, you want to keep doing it. So,
Yeah. And what are some of your like? So what are some of your like future goals?
uh,
Or do you not really? Are you not a goal? See, some people aren't goal people. They just kind of take it one day at a time. Some people they have goals. I mean, I'm not. I just kind of take it one day at a time, and I don't really set
yeah, yeah, I'm
goals.
kind of the same, and I think that's why I didn't want to be called Lambo Profits because I think it's a bit misleading. Because
Yeah.
actually, I'm more like family oriented. I have a very
Yeah.
traditional background here in Europe, and
Yeah.
it's more like to do with helping my family and getting more free time. And as you get
Yep.
older, it's like you start appreciating other things that maybe you didn't when you were 25. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
Okay.
it's more like to have free time, independence, and
No, that's awesome.
time
That's a
with
good.
your
That's
family.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of the same way. And then last advice. What's some advice for new people who are trying to learn what I teach, like learning iFVGs or learning ICT?
Um, I'd say, well, this is just my experience, but I think it works so well. Maybe not for everyone, but if there's somebody that's been a bit like struggling or feeling that frustration or feeling that anxiety, maybe I would
Yeah.
just stick to it and keep taking like baby steps and think in terms of 1 year of progress because I think too many people want it too fast. Uh,
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
I think just take it slow and give it time and prove yourself that it works because
Yep.
complaining and being frustrated and getting anxious and having it start affect your relationship and your mood and your self confidence. It doesn't really help you. So
Great answer. Great answer. So yeah, I mean that's really all I got. So I thank you for coming on this interview, and I wish you the best with your success. And again, for everyone watching, this is another one of my paid students. Again, there's no bias to either paid or unpaid. It doesn't really matter. There's multiple success stories unpaid, and there's multiple success stories paid. It's really up to you at the end of the day to put in the work. So he obviously put in the work. He's learned off of videos. He's have you probably back tested iFVGs too? Did you back test at all?
yeah, I did back test,
Or,
but I was
what do
also doing
you
live.
Yeah, what do you prefer, back testing or live testing? Like forward testing.
Live or demo for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I
I mean,
can't. Back
you should
testing
you
is
should get
hard for me.
you should get past the back testing phase as soon as possible. Like,
Yeah, back testing is just like for okay, here's how I'm gonna do it mechanically. Live times we're gonna learn. Like
yeah.
okay, if this candle does slows down, like I'm not gonna get it. But there's a lot of things. But okay, so yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for coming on, man. And everyone watching this, leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, I don't actually care if you subscribe because I'm not trying to grow this channel. But all right, that's gonna be it. Peace.